Our first Sunday after arriving in Ithaca, we go to church and I meet a man who's going to become very influential in my professional development. And his name is Bill Reeder, R-E-E-D-E-R. Bill is a native of Brigham City, Utah, got his bachelor's degree from, and I think even his master's degree from Utah State University, went on and got a doctorate degree back east, became a professor at Penn State University, and then at Cornell University. And he also was so Bill and I exchanged some pleasantries, and then he discovers that what my interests lie, what brings me to Cornell, my interest in being able to help make changes. And his eyes light up, and he spends 2 hours or more, I can't remember exactly, talking to me about rural, R-U-R-A-L, sociology, which I have never heard of prior to getting to Cornell University. A specialized area of sociology that deals with rural peoples and primarily not just studying them in the abstract, but has a strong focus on helping to make positive changes among these people. And there are representatives from the countries of the Philippines, India, Pakistan, South America, Puerto Rico, attending this program of rural sociology sent by their respective governments because of its noted outstanding academic program in planned change, P-L-A-N-N-E-D, plans change. So as I listened to Bill, my eyes grow wider, and Bill, that's what I'm interested in. And he gives me a real sales job, because by the time that morning is over, I've decided to make my major field study of rural sociology and combine it with the Quechua and the rural development focus that I had learned about in Holmberg's work in Vicos. And I find out from Bill that I can take classes from Holmberg. I can, and Cornell is unique in that it combines not only a private school, the university, but also it is a New York State agricultural school university, all combined in one. It's as if in Utah, BYU were to house Utah State University and have the same curriculum offerings as exist at Utah State, along with BYU's general interests. So, and you can take courses across the spectrum of the university. You can get professors from different areas of the university, private or state, to be on your committee. It is indeed a unique university. In addition to the fact, established in 1865, it was one of the original Ivy League universities. So I learned a lot in those first couple of hours from Bill. Bill is also the president of the LDS branch there in Ithaca. And I began taking classes from Donald Sola in the School of Modern Languages, in which he is teaching Quechua Indian language. We have assistants to him, Antonio Cusihuaman from Peru, and several others who are specialists in the Quechua Indian language. And Cornell has the only Quechua language program in the United States. So, what's it like being at one of the top universities in the United States? Well, first of all, one of the major differences is there's specialists from different areas that come as guest speakers, different ideas, clashing interests, exposing a broad range of views at the highest level. So you have the benefit of these, whereas if you attend a second-tier university, you get people who are there who have learned from these people and then they're just telling what these people have told them. But here are the originating ideas in these professors. That is probably the most singular difference that I noted between the universities I had previously attended and Cornell University. I remember at Brigham Young University when I was an undergraduate student, one of my professors said, "Wes, don't get your doctorate degree here. Bring something new back to us." That was a long time ago, but I can see the wisdom in that it's not just the same thing being regurgitated over and over to same points of view, but you have at the broader level, at the higher level, these diverging interests coming in and divergent points of view, different theories. That was one of the major differences I noted. Every class was stimulating. I thoroughly enjoyed the time that I spent there in the academic area. And then another development takes place after I arrive at Cornell. I'm called by the church to be the director of the Institute program, LDS Institute program of the university. And in doing so, I'm provided an office in the CURW, Cornell United Religious Work Building, and share an office with a representative of the National Evangelical Association. And we start out with his belief that a non-Christian has occupied his office. And there I'm introduced to the basic theological differences in the Protestant world and in our Mormonism. But it's an enlightening, enjoyable stay and working with him. He starts out with the assumption that I'm not a Christian, and over time I think he becomes, if not convinced, at least much more open to the possibility that I am, as is true with many of the evangelicals, as is noted in recent political times and times when they have difficulty Christians accepting Mormons as being Christians as well. Anyway, it was an enjoyable time. We have a number of Mormons attending graduate school at Cornell University in different departments. George Cunahaley was in the political science department. I remember a number of them in the agricultural areas, agronomy, as well as agricultural economics, rural sociology, as was Bill Reeder. And so it provides a group of interesting people in our church meetings. In a university program like that, they're more inquisitive, more questioning going on. It's not just a repetitious, redundant. It was really enjoyable being part of the. It wasn't. I mentioned earlier it was a ward, but it was a branch, Ithaca branch. So that I had the opportunity of meeting in the institute class that I held for these LDS young people, university students, many of them graduate students. Then I was called to be a district councilman, visiting the other branches of the church in the Susquehanna district, which included the Susquehanna River, and these included to the west Corning, to the east Cortland, Binghamton, down into northern Pennsylvania, Wilkesboro area, 40 Fort. These we visited about once a month, a trip down to them to help hold the branches together what we could at that level of organization. There were small branches struggling, most of them, but I'm sure that from that point in time, nearly 50 years ago to the present, they have become, many of them, even stakes. So that was enjoyable traveling with men like Berkeley Spencer as a fellow traveler going down to these different meetings that we had in the different branches of the church. Berkeley was a close friend. He also got his degree in rural sociology along with myself. And as I completed my coursework in Rural Sociology, study of Quechua for 2 years, I was then at the point of moving on to a dissertation, and very definitely in my mind it was going to take place in the Cusco area, Altiplano area of Peru. And the university, again, having the resources that it does of a major university, provided me a month of travel, which they paid for, to Peru, down and back, and in the country where I was to spend nearly a month visiting possible sites, locations, programs, ongoing, to determine which one I would focus upon for my doctoral dissertation research. During that month investigation, I visited, among others, the Vicos project in the Callejon de Huaras, talked with the people who were involved there, excuse me, at that time, and then traveled on down to Ayacucho, and then over to Cusco, and spent a week staying with the Peace Corps volunteers up in a little Indian community near Cuyo Chico. They were participating in the building of a school there. There was a group of about 4 or 5 of them. And I had independently been asked to kind of do a survey of how the Peace Corps was doing, and report back to a friend who was working with the Peace Corps program in Washington, D.C. So I was happy to do that. Gave me an opportunity to explore in areas surrounding Cusco, and visited several other programs, and eventually I heard about what was happening down in La Convención Valley to the north of Cusco, about 60, 70 miles, I'm estimating that, beyond Machu Picchu by about 20 miles, down the same river, Urubamba River. And so I traveled down to La Convención Valley, Quillabamba being the community, one of the furthest points south on that, north on that trip, and became very intrigued by what I found there, where peasants had been able to wrest away land from the hacendados, the landowners, and had been able to maintain it. And my interest was, well, how did that happen? Because in Latin America there have been a number of attempts by Indians throughout Latin America to be able to take back the land which the whites had taken from them, and all of them were unsuccessful because the whites were able to call in the army and put down whatever uprising there was that took place. Brazil, Chile, most countries. So here it was successful. Well, how did that happen? And so, becoming more intrigued by this, I began to focus on the campesino unions, sindicatos, their role in being able to accomplish what they had in La Convención Valley, which then becomes the focus for my dissertation research. And I have an article on that chapter, which I put in a book on Latin American peasant movements, which, if you're interested, can give you more detail on what took place.